What's up, guys? I just played a game where I had this position right here. I mean, look at this. Two queens against my two rooks and a knight. Have you ever seen a game? I mean, this is absolutely nuts. So I'm going to show you this game. This was played over on Immortal Game. That's the chess with side quests. I've done a couple of videos on it. I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. It's still very early, just launched to the public like a few days ago. But anyway, I was playing over there, and this game was absolutely fascinating. So I'm going to show it to you. And I'm going to just real quickly catch you up to speed on how we got into this position, which, by the way, it says that it's plus 57 evaluation for white. So that's the advantage that white. How do you get plus 57? I guess because like it's calculating that some of these become queens or something. I don't know. 57 is a lot of points. Anyway, let's go ahead and see what happened. So here we go. By the way, it's a 3-minute game with 2-second increment. So it's a little bit, could be a longer game because of the increment. So it's just a Pierce. We just developed a bunch of pieces. I'm not going to get bogged down in the opening. Pretty equal position here. This is kind of how you play the Pierce. You just kind of sit back, you wait, you get a pretty solid setup, and you wait for white to do something. So here's e5. Now we kind of dance around a little bit, get some trades. And I didn't really know what to do here. I thought I would maybe try to do a minority attack where I use my 2 pawns to attack my opponent's 3 pawns and try to create some weaknesses. So at some point I wanted to play b4, and if I can get some trades here, white would be left with some double isolated pawn, an isolated pawn. It seemed like would be a good idea. So we get a trade here. By the way, I should also mention the only reason I took with the knight was because one of my side quests in Immortal Game is to not get my king checked more than 2 times for the duration of the game. And so I was playing with that piece in this particular game. I have other ones that I can swap out, but I was playing with that one in this game. And so I didn't want my king to be checked. And so I thought leaving it back on g8 was less likely to get checked. I could see like maybe at some point the queen could come to e5, and put me in check. And so that's why I took with the knight. Normally I would definitely take with the king, which I think was probably a better move. Well, engine says they both were fine. But anyway, that's what I was thinking about. So some of the moves that you see from both players can be a little weird at times because we're like thinking about those side quests. Anyway, game goes on. Here comes the queen. Knight g5 was the big threat with queen h7, and so I didn't want to allow that. So I had to play f6 just to keep the knight out of there. So here we go. I tried my minority attack, but I completely forgot about the fact that after the bishop trade, my queen was going to be in line with the rook. And so now I don't even get to, what I wanted was, takes, takes. And this is ideal for me. Now I can just attack these pawns, right? But I forgot that my opponent could take this way. And now it's pinned. And so I can't take back. So I just lost a pawn, which is really bad news. So I tried to kind of relocate my knight, go for a fork. Opponent saw it. And here they played a really nice move. Rook over, allowing me to capture the rook because my queen is pinned. So I couldn't do it, which I didn't see. So I'm actually in a really bad position here. I had to give up the queen for the 2 rooks. And the problem that I have is all these pawns. There's just too many extra pawns over here, right? So the queen comes in, b3, and I said, you know what? The only chance that I have in this game at this point, I'm not going to be able to stop so many pawns with the queen there. There's no way. I said, the only chance I have, let's go ahead and attack the king. So here we go. And I'm like, I need to get more pieces. I just can't do it with just these alone. I need to use this other rook. And so even at the cost of allowing an extra queen, I said, let's go create some real threats here, right? So knight to e1, defending on g2. And I went for this line, which the engine does not like at all. But, well, it's quite interesting. And the funny thing is, and I don't know that I've ever seen a position quite like this, but white has 2 queens kind of towards the end of the game, and yet there are no good checks on my king. There's just no way for the queens to immediately put me in check. That's good, right? The only one would be here, which I just capture, or one of these I can just take with my king, right? It's amazing. And so that's why I said, let me go for it, because I am going to like have some potential. There's all sorts of different ways that I could create a mating net over here. So I said, let's do it. So queen here, king to h6. I don't want to get checkmated with like queen here and queen here. That would be checkmate. So for example, if I played a move like this, queen h8, queen d8, that's just checkmate, right? So I had to avoid that. So I like, let me go ahead and run over here. And again, notice how my king has this nice square to just hide. And there's like no checks from the queen because my pieces are just covering everything. It's an amazing position. My opponent played here, which is a huge blunder, and I failed to realize the reason why. So if you guys would like, go ahead and pause and think through. There's only one move here that's completely winning for black. What is the move that I missed in the game? Well, if you had a chance to do that, it's rook f to f1. And what's the point? The point is the knight's covering the square, so the king can't run. So we're going for checkmate in one. Okay, that's the idea. If the pawn pushes forward to try to give the king an escape route, well then either of these two rooks is just checkmate immediately because the rook's cut off here and the knight controls that square. So the only thing that white can do is to play queen h8 check to force the king here, follow it up by queen to g3 check, which is a queen sacrifice, right? I can just take it. But now at least the king can get out of the way, at least temporarily. But then we have this idea. Rook to e3 check forces the king back. h4, and guess what? I'm going to go back here again with my rooks and go for checkmate again. This time, instead of the knight controlling that square, we've got the pawn, right? So what does white have to do? Queen to a8. g3 with the idea of being able to use the queen to sacrifice again. And so there we go. I just basically won both of white's queens, one for the knight, one for the rook, and now I'm in a winning endgame because my rook's going to be able to come over here. These pawns aren't advanced far enough and just take the pawns. I mean, how amazing is that, right? Of course, though, I didn't see it and I played something else. What did I play? Let's see. So that's the winning move. Okay, rook f to f1, only move. I played king to g5. In my mind, I was thinking, like, I'm going to be put in check anyway. I may as well just go ahead and run my king up here. And maybe, hey, maybe I can even use my king to, like, help, you know, checkmate the king. That's what I was thinking. So that's why and it's a blitz game. We only have, like, 30 seconds left. So these moves are happening pretty quickly. But the problem is that now white has this move h4, which gives the king some breathing room. And if I take it with the king, let's see, what is the move here? Queen takes g6, and now the queens are getting to my king. There's a checkmate threat here, and I'm just toast. I'm in trouble. So that's what white should have played, but they didn't see it. They played this move, which is going for the checkmate over here. But then I played knight to h4, defending it, also threatening again. This is a new checkmate threat here. If this one is easier for my opponent to stop, queen to d5. And here I had a couple of options. I knew I needed to block the queen, so there's f5 or e5. I wasn't sure which one was better. I decided to go for e5. Engine says they're both about the same because the idea is kind of the same. I just need to get out of the check, don't allow any more checks on my king, and then keep, you know, the pressure up with different threats here on the king. So white captured, and initially I wanted to play knight to f3 check because I said, this looks really good. The queen's going to have to take me. I'll take it, and I thought, actually, I don't know why that doesn't actually look that great. I don't know. I was low on time. That's what I was thinking of playing. But then I also realized there's also just king to g3, and then that's forking my pieces, and it's not so good. So I took this way, and I mean, at this point, I'm completely lost. Okay, I had to give up, you know, a rook and a knight for a queen. My opponent still has a queen and a bunch of pawns. Literally, the game should be over, but watch what happens. I took here. I'm like, well, what else am I going to do? Let me just, you know, throw in some checks, right? Why not? And then I noticed something, and my opponent didn't realize what was happening. They were just pushing their pawns. And look at this. This is what we call a stalemate trap. It's basically the king has no way to get away from my rook. And so all I had to do was go check, 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 and the game was a draw. Because if the king ever tries to come over this way, well, my king is stopping it. It would be checkmate if it could ever get there, which it can't, right? Actually, that's not true. It could block with queen, but it can't, right? Because as soon as it goes to h2, I just check it and forces it back to one of these two squares. And so, amazingly, I ended up saving the game and getting a draw. So we had two queens against two rooks and a knight. We had a missed forced win where I would win both of the queens. And then the game ends in a draw like this, even though I was completely, I mean, crazy game, right? So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, if you want to check out Immortal Game, the link's below. I've been having a lot of fun over there. You know, you get to play normal chess, but you also get these like side quests. They do have a free-to-play mode, so you don't have to spend any money, or, you know, you can just play with the free ones, and you can also do the quests and stuff that way. So anyway, I will see you guys real soon in the next candidates update. Whenever I get to that, it might be tomorrow, but see you guys soon, and take care.